Hey guys, Kyoryu here with a multi-review. This time I'll be reviewing the changed heroes Zenkaizer, Zenkai Juran, Zenkai Gaon, Zenkai Magine, and Zenkai Vroom from Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger. This is a series of figures that are replacing the standard soft vinyl figures for this year, with the exception of Zenkaizer, who does have a soft vinyl. And the four rangers aside from Zenkaizer can change from hero mode to Kikai mode, and each one of these figures includes one accessory. So, let's get started. First up, we have the team leader, Zenkaizer. Now, suit design-wise, his is the one that most resembles a typical Sentai suit. And though he does represent the team as a whole, his design does pay homage to the Sentai of old. Looks-wise, or at least physical design-wise, he's meant to resemble Aka Ranger, the leader of the Go Rangers, as indicated by the V crest, the rounded goggle-like eyes, as well as the short cape. Take a look at his design in general. You can see the golden V. You'll see that he has the number 45 on his forehead, representing Zenkaizer. Got a nice red stripe that goes down the middle. We have this nice golden armor with the Zenkaizer symbol in the center. And then going out from that red, we also have yellow, green, blue, and pink, the 5 colors of the Go Rangers. He's got V's on the cuffs, all on his suit, as well as he's got a mold on Zenkai buckle. That's nice and painted in. And again, we have this short cape, which is a separate piece in the box they have to attach. Now, as far as his color scheme goes, it's also a reference to Big One, the leader of the second Super Sentai team, Jacker Dengekitai, which marked the first time that the leader of the team was actually a different colored ranger that was not the Red Ranger. Articulation-wise, got a swivel joint for the head, as well as an upwards and downwards motion. Not exactly a ball joint. Arms rotate around 360 degrees, can move in and out. There's an adjustable shoulder pad, and interestingly there is an extension joint on it, but that doesn't serve much purpose, as when extending the joint it doesn't get any further range of motion. It does have a single joint elbow, bicep swivel, wrist swivel, a waist swivel here, ball joints on, or rather more of a sort of hinge and swivel joint for the thighs. So a thigh swivel, single joint knees, and bilateral joint ankles. Interestingly, the construction of this figure is actually quite similar to the Super Sentai candy figures known as Yudo. Though in this case, this one is fully painted and has all the colors already on it, whereas for those ones, typically you need to apply the stickers yourself. Another thing to note is the size of the figures. They're at a different scale than the typical Toku action figures that Bandai puts out. For comparison, here is the RKF Saber Brave Dragon. And as you can see, it is quite a bit taller. And though I don't have a handy, I do believe that these are at the same time bigger than Yudo/Sodo figures. So they have their own kind of size class. As far as his accessory goes, he includes a geared linger, though this is an unpainted white colored one, and only really has the back side of it molded in, as it's basically hollow on the other side. But thanks to the way the fist is molded in the gripping position, you can just simply have him hold the geared linger like that, and then pose him as you see fit. Next, we'll look at the Red Ranger, Zenkai Juran. As I said in my review of the Gearlinger, Zenkai Juran represents the 16th Super Sentai, Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger, or as Power Rangers fans know it, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It has a very mechanical suit, with a Tyrannosaurus head on the chest, though the most unique detail, or the standout detail of the other four, is the heads. In this case, his head is meant to resemble the head of the Zyuranger's mech, Daijujin, as you can tell by the trademark horns, as well as the crest. And he also has the number 16 on his forehead. He's got this kind of tampographed detail of a silver Tyrannosaurus head on the left shoulder. Also got the Zenkai buckle. And these pretty mechanical looking feet that come down to these three-toed claw-like feet. Now his articulation is a little bit different than Zenkaizer's. So it's got a swivel joint at the head, rotation joint and pivot at the shoulders, a bit of a not as deep bend at the shoulders, and there is a rotation joint, although as you can see the arms do pop up if you try to force the articulation past what they normally would be able to do. There's no wrist articulation. There's a waist joint and then swivels and pivots at the hips, knee joint, and the only real ball joints are on the ankles. Accessory-wise, he includes the Juran sword. Now it has two handles, and that'll come more into play when we actually get to the mech version of Zenkai Juran, but you can hold it using this shoulder handle, just like that. However, the other thing is that these are change heroes, so we can transform him into his Kikai mode. Though in this case, the transformation actually involves a bit of deconstruction and reconstruction. And the instructions for these transformations are all inside the cards that the change heroes come packaged on, specifically on the inside. So if you buy any of these, you're definitely going to want to hold on to this piece, as it does show you how to change them between the two different modes. So, for Zenkai Juran, we're going to start by doing a bit of disassembly. We're going to remove the head, the backpack, the waist, and the legs. Then we're going to take the arms, rotate them back, flip the backpack so it's like this. We'll then take what was the waist, flip it upside down, and actually technically speaking, you just need to place the head on backwards. Then we'll attach the legs to the sides like this. Take the tail and plug it into the back. And then attach the waist to, or attach the backpack like this, using this peg here. And here we have Juran Tyranno. And there's actually one more step to this that they don't mention in the instructions. You can see that there are these two little panels here on the sides of the head. And if you use your nail, you can actually take them and rotate them outwards to become the claws. There's a bit of a tight joint. But now we have him in his little Tyrannosaurus form. And this is pretty cool in that you do still get some articulation, in that you can still move around the legs, though because of the way the head is on there, can't really move. Though if you want, you can also rotate the tail. And it is a bit of an awkward looking Tyrannosaurus, but as you'll see, it doesn't get all too much better when you get to the proper deluxe mech version. An interesting thing about these figures is that they are actually constructed quite similarly to the Super Sentai mini plastic models, or mini-pla, that are a typical staple of the series. Next we have the Yellow Ranger, Zenkai Gaon. Here represents Super Sentai 25, Hyakujyu Sentai Gao Ranger, which was adapted as Power Rangers Wild Force. You can see that the helmet, or the head, very much resembles the head of Gao King, the Gao Ranger's mech. It does have 25 on the forehead. He is pretty much an alternate version of Zenkai Juran, or at least is constructed very similarly. He has a similar head on the chest, in this case a lion head. Very similar legs, though the feet and kind of the leg pieces are a little bit different. You also have the arms, which have these yellow panels on the side. And in this case, on the right arm, there's an image of a silver lion. Has a lot of the same articulation as Gao, or basically has all the same articulation as Juran. So there's not much to say about that. For his weapon, he comes with the Gaon claw, which in this case is painted all silver, but as we'll see later, this is a bit inaccurate as it should be part yellow, part silver. And this just pegs onto his left forearm like that. So next we'll change him into his Kikai mode. So for this, I'm going to detach these little pieces, separate the entire waist section from the upper torso, remove the arm panels, remove the backpack, and remove the head. Then we'll actually take the arm panels and rotate them around so that we can then plug in these pegs here and bend the arms a little bit forward. Take the Gaon claw and peg it into the top where the head used to be. Bend the legs forward at a 90-degree angle. Then plug that into the back of the backpack. Take the head and place it on the bottom. And then plug it in to the backpack or place it into the main body. And here we have Gaon Lion. Again, a little bit of an awkward looking form, but it is definitely a lion. You can see that it now has the claws down here, and it is in a proper quadruped mode. Now it should be noted that Juran was meant to kind of represent, or is kind of meant to represent, Hyakujyu Tyrannosaurus, and Gaon Lion is in a way meant to represent Gao Lion. But the resemblance is really only so far as being a Tyrannosaurus and lion. They aren't very resemblant, or they don't much resemble the actual mechs that they're supposed to be representing in this case. Next we have the Pink Ranger, Zenkai Magine. He represents Super Sentai 29, Mahou Sentai Ranger, which was adapted as Power Rangers Mystic Force. Now, interestingly, though she definitely is the Pink Ranger, the color of pink plastic here is a pretty dark one that almost borders on purple. But if you see it in person, you can definitely tell that is very much a pink. Now, her head is meant to represent or resemble the head of Maji King, the Maji Ranger's mech. And you can definitely tell that by how she has this sort of wizard hat-like crown on top. And then there is the number 29 on her forehead. We got a nice M symbol to represent Maji Ranger. You got these kind of wings on the side, as well as a little skirt. And these interestingly shaped feet, which will come into play for her transformation. And also a little backpack. Her taking position is a little bit different from the previous two. So once again, we have ball joint, or rotation joint, for the head. The arms can go forward, but they are a little bit limited by the backpack. You still have a elbow bend and swivel. You have this outwards kind of motion for the shoulder, outward hinge, as well as hinges for the side wings. And there's a waist swivel. There's actually a pivot and swivel for the front skirt piece to free up movement in the legs, which can go forward and back, in and out. Have a pretty deep knee joint, as well as ball joint ankles. As you see, pretty much everything on these figures kind of pegs in at these joints, and so they can come apart, but you can also easily put them back together. Her accessory is a magic wand called the Magine stick. And so she can hold that in her right hand using this handle here. So, next for her transformation, I'm going to do a bit more disassembly. So, going to separate the upper torso from the lower legs. Remove the backpack, as well as the head. Going to take the arms and bend them in 90 degrees. Rotate them down like this. And fold up the wings. Now take the legs, peg the 2 feet together, and then fold them down like this. I'll take the backpack, plug in the Magine stick on the back, and plug in her head on the bottom using this peg here. Then we'll attach these pieces here, attach this piece here, and here we have Magine Dragon, which is meant to represent Maji Dragon. In this case, it definitely bears a bit more of a resemblance, especially with the way the wings definitely do resemble the folded out wings of Maji Dragon. You have the long neck, as well as the head here, which do have the classic horns of Maji Dragon. So, in terms of actually representing the mech it's supposed to, this bears quite a bit of a better resemblance. And because of her joints, there is also some articulation to this, just in a general sense, and there are even rotation joints for the back legs here. And finally, we'll look at the Blue Ranger, Zenkai Vroom. He represents Super Sentai number 30, GoGo Sentai Bowcenter, which was adapted as Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. And you can tell that by how his head very much resembles the helmet and head of the Bowcenter's mech, Dai Boken, especially with the kind of boosters out on the side, as well as the horn on the top. Plus he has number 30 on his forehead. It's mainly blue and silver with a bit of gold to him. You can see this car grille on the chest, as well as the very robotic mechanical legs. And in a way, he probably is the one who would be most fitting if he was put in the Transformers universe. You can see he has wheels on the shoulders and the back of his arms. And it does have hollow spaces in the back of the legs as well as just in general, though that's just the way these figures are styled. For the articulation, you do have a swivel joint at the head. You do have some similar articulation to the others. His articulation definitely more is closer to Zenkai Majine's. And because of the way his feet are basically merged with legs, there are no ankles on him. But he doesn't really need them, as he does have these very far struts that let him balance pretty well. His weapon is the Vroom picker, this pickaxe weapon, which is actually probably the most significant of all of them, as it's meant to resemble the Boken picker that Daiboken could wield. And that just goes in his hand right there. So next we'll get to his transformation. So we're going to detach the head and detach the legs, as well as this little backpack piece. So I'm going to take the legs and basically or take the arms rather and rotate them like this. Take the waist, fold it forward, bring the legs together and fold them down at 90 degrees. I'll take the Vroom picker and attach them on the kneecaps like this. Just gotta get in there. It's a bit finicky, but once you get it, it should be pretty secure. Like so. Going to take this piece, attach the head on like this. Plug this into the bottom. And then plug this into the back using this joint down here. And here we have Vroom dump. Now this is a bit of an awkward translation, but this one is meant to represent GoGo dump, which is Boken Red's individual vehicle. And it definitely does bear some resemblance to it, although one little flaw is that these should actually be kind of flipped around the other way, but unfortunately the way the joints work, that wouldn't work out so well, but you can definitely see the resemblance there in a lot of the pieces, as well as the wheels, and definitely the front cab. The one unfortunate thing is that because of the way this was constructed, the wheels are just these add-on pieces and they don't actually turn, so you can't actually have them roll around, rather you can just slide them across the table. But it definitely does work pretty well. And there we go. Overall, these figures are a fun break from tradition. Unfortunately, action figures are not something that have been very consistent with Super Sentai. As far as I know, they used to be a bit more common in older series, especially ones that would be packaged in with vehicles. But at the same time, ground vehicles, not like large mech vehicles, is also the kind of thing that became something that happened less frequently as Super Sentai went further and further. And even then, while there have been things like Super Sentai SH figure arts, those eventually stopped, and I'm really not fond of the Yudo figures, so these to me are a very nice stand-in and a very nice representation of these Rangers in figure forms. It is quite nice that they do have accessories and articulation, even though due to their joints they can kind of be popped out or kind of come apart a little bit easily, but again, like I said, they can be put back in. Plus, we also have the transformations for the other 4, and while they do look a little bit odd, and it is part swarming in the sense that basically there isn't actually much changing of the parts and positions, it's mostly taking apart different parts and putting them back together, they do still work, and it does give you something to do with the figures, so they're definitely a step up from the typical soft vinyl figures that we've been getting. And if there are any more in this line, I definitely would like to see what they do with it. So, I would definitely recommend picking these figures up if you're looking for Zenkaizer figures. Next time we'll finally be getting to the mech, where I'll be reviewing the Zenkaiyo Gaon set. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you're new and would like to see more, please subscribe to the bell icon. And for now, this is Kyoryu 50, writing off.